Is going on, everybody? It's Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, there is a lot going on in the YouTube community, on the internet, on social media, and all over the place. And it involves Kwame Brown, Stephen A. Smith, and even Dr. Boyce Watkins. There's a whole lot going on between these three men, and now we got Michi X saying a bunch of stuff and a bunch of different people and name calling and cursing out and all kinds of stuff. And it's just like, whoa, let's try to dissect some of this. Like, let's really get to the heart of like what in the world is going on. At least I'm gonna try to, and you guys can help me out if you know more than me. But it all stems from obviously Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown had serious issues with Stephen A. Smith because of what Stephen A. has done or said about Kwame's basketball career, and he feels like he degraded him as a man over the last 20 years. And so Kwame came out and said some things about Stephen A. on multiple occasions and called him out of his name and did all kinds of stuff. And then, that's where Dr. Boyce comes in. Doc came in and said his things about Kwame, just like, yo, I think you should do this and this and that. And, whether you think it was right or wrong, Kwame responded to Doc and was like, man, why didn't you hit me up personally? And they had their little thing. Then finally, the other day, Stephen A. Smith finally addresses Kwame after at least a week of videos that included Stephen A.'s name, Stephen A., along with Stack 5, Steven Jackson, along with Matt Barnes, along with Jamel Hill, along with Skip Bayless, along with like Charlemagne the God. Like there's a bunch of people Kwame came after almost for 2 weeks now, and Stephen A. was at the top of that list. And Stephen A. finally responded with a 9-minute long rant. The first 3 minutes were showing Kwame Brown, let me not mispronounce his name, Kwame Brown lowlights, not highlights, lowlights, just showing a bunch of like drop passes, missed the layups, turnovers, bad passes, just any bad play that Kwame Brown had over the course, 3 minutes worth of bad plays Kwame Brown had over his 13-year career, and Stephen A. said he had 15 minutes of it, and it was bad. It was bad lowlights, not highlights, but lowlights. And so Kwame has since responded to Stephen A.'s rant, and he has responded to Dr. Boyce once again. So here's my thoughts on this, and you can turn this off, you can say whatever, I don't care. Kwame Brown has hit a lot of valid points. I'm going to give him that. He has hit a lot of valid points. The problem I've seen with Kwame, though, is that in some cases, I feel like he's trying to make enemies where there's not enemies, right? Kwame has built this massive following, like this massive cult-style following. Hell, even on the videos where anybody criticizes Kwame, they get more dislikes than likes. Like people are really feeling what he's got to say. He is very relatable, right? Whether it's because to some people he is a success story because like people for so many years they've called him a bust or said his life wasn't nothing or said he try to equate his basketball career to his real life. And Kwame is showing you like, nah. You can say what you want about my basketball career, even though I did play 13 years and most players are out. If you make it to the NBA, it's like a slim to zero chance to even make it to the NBA. I was the number 1 overall pick, and I played 13 years, so you can call it a bust, but I actually did something that 99.9% of people will never do, right? Let alone, make it to the NBA, number 1 overall pick, and to last, double digits, and to last into 13 years. It's like 99.9% of people will never do that, including Stephen A. He said, Stephen A., you were a basketball bust to be real, not me, you. So, yeah. But the problem with Kwame, I think, this is just me. Now, Kwame, you can be mad and you can say what you want. I think with Kwame is I think he brings a lot of valid points to the picture. But in a lot of great things, he's saying a lot of like smart, intelligent things. The problem is when you add a ton of profanity and a ton of name calling and a ton of this and that, you're no longer a scholar. You're no longer I don't think you're connecting with people on a deeper level. You're now a comedian. Think about it. What do comedians do? They tell jokes, they name call, they use profanity. Now, whatever. I know this whole saying, I think he was like, you chew the meat and spit out the fat, or you chew the meat and spit out the bones. Yeah, but people, from what I understand, a lot of folks aren't following Kwame for that higher level intelligence, bringing the black community together. They follow him because he's telling a lot of jokes. He's calling Stack a fake gangster, or saying Becky with the good hair when it comes to Matt Barnes, or talking about how Stephen A was never a basketball player, never a good basketball player. Those are jokes. And it's hilarious. And he's using a bunch of profanity, and he's calling these people out, and he's saying these different things. Like, to me, that's comedy now. You went over from being intelligent and saying great things and things that actually make a ton of sense, which he says a lot of things that make a ton of sense. You went from that lane over to the comedic lane. Because what is a better way, a faster way to garner a crazy big following? It's to tell a bunch of jokes and talk about a bunch of people. Comedians are some of the most popular people in the world. Look at Kevin Hart or Eddie Murphy or, Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey. Like, these guys are some of the biggest personalities, the biggest people, the biggest entertainers in the entire world. Kevin Hart has had multiple years where he's made $80 million because he's a comedian. He tells jokes. He makes people laugh. And that's, to me, what Kwame's doing. I don't think that's what his purpose, or what he feels like his purpose of his channel is to just make people laugh and tell jokes. But when you call up, you saying a bunch of B words and MFers and all of this stuff, you're a comedian now. You're Michael Blackson. You're like I said, you're Kevin Hart. You're Eddie Murphy. Like that. That's the and people are, and some of you will say, "Oh, that's just him being raw and uncut and unfiltered." Yes, that is very true. All of that is very true. But at the same time, I think a lot of his bigger points are missed. A lot of his points are missed. And I think he's misconstruing some of the things some of the people are saying. Now, don't get me wrong. Stephen A. Smith going on a 9-minute rant just to talk about Kwame. I think Stephen A. was pissed because whenever you call a man out of his name, like, it's hard to just take that and move on. Like, I can say, like, Stephen A., you missed the point. He was saying you called him a bust and called him out of his name a scrub and all of this stuff for 20 years, and you missed the point about, like, that was the whole purpose of him even coming to the internet, or at least recently, his recent rise on the internet is because, like, guys like you, Stephen A.'s career, Kwame said he didn't have a career. No, he had a career. He's employed. But Stephen A.'s career rose after some of his epic rants on Kwame Brown. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna act like it didn't take his career to the next level. Why? Because it was funny. Once again, it was in almost a comedic stature. It was almost like he was talking about him being a scrub. He's a bum. He said he got little hands. He can't catch the ball. He's got bad feet. He can't move. Like, this stuff was funny. But he had a career. But the thing about Stephen A., I can say, yeah, you shouldn't have said anything. But, man, if a man go on the internet for 2 weeks with, at this point, probably over 1 million views or a couple million views or whatever between all the videos, then and calling you out of your name, Stephen A. got kids. Stephen A. got a family. Stephen A.'s 50-something years old. And this man just keep calling you a bitch. This man keep calling you a bitch and you a low life, a no life, and all of this stuff. It's gonna be tough to walk away from that. Like, it's gonna be tough to just eat that, for 2 weeks. Stephen A. didn't say anything for 2 weeks. It's gonna be kind of hard. Now you can say, "Oh, Stephen A. missed the point." Like, he went on and did again when he called him Kwame instead of Kwame. That's very disrespectful. And he showed 3 minutes of him playing bad basketball and said how his basketball game is trash and how he was calling everybody out. But I want to be mad at Stephen A. because you can say, "Oh, you missed the point." But, man, if a man on the internet for 2 weeks calling you a bitch, I mean, it's hard. It is hard to just ignore that. It's hard to turn the other cheek. I mean, it is. It is. And I can't really even be mad at Stephen A. for addressing it the way he did. Now, obviously, ESPN benefits. And in white America and white supremacy benefits, because now you have not just Stephen A., but even if you include Dr. Watkins, 3 intelligent black men, because I will consider Kwame very intelligent. Stephen A., I think, is very smart. He wouldn't be as successful as he is without being very smart. And obviously, Doc is very smart. 3 intelligent black men just look like they're, pity patty, cat fighting and doing all of this stuff over the internet. three people that are in almost in three totally different lanes. You know, Stephen A is a sports guy on ESPN. You can say what he wants. I mean, you can say what you want about him, but he's carved a lane. He's got a hell of an audience. He's definitely the most recognizable person over at that company, over the biggest sports company in the world or in the country. And Stephen A is the face of it. He's not the owner, but he's the face of it. You got Kwame, who's like shot up overnight. And then you got Doc, who's been doing this for over 20, 25, 30 years, right? So they're all in their different respective lanes. But the bickering and the going back and forth, that doesn't, I don't know. I don't see how that helps the community, because all three of them, from what I understand, want to help the community. Kwame keeps talking about how he has like brought money to the community, and like the other two, Doc and Stephen A, Charlemagne and Matt Barnes and Stack, and all those other guys haven't. And Kwame, that's simply not true. I guess it's not true, man. Like, I mean, I don't want to get into the details of everything. I mean, you guys follow these people. You know that that's not true. You know that Black people have ate because of Dr. Boyce Watkins. Like, come on, man. Like, we know that's not true. Like, we know there's too many witnesses and testimonies from people all around the world to know that that's not true. So, like, I don't know, man. I think, like I said, just to wrap this up, and I'm gonna get out of here. To wrap this up, man, Kwame, I think has an opportunity. He has a moment. His moment is right now. He has an opportunity. People say, chew up the meat, spit out the fat. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I think he has crossed over into a comedic stage. And people are going to his channel because he's doing these rants and cursing these people out, and they're looking at him more like a comedian, when I think he has a bigger message. And I think if as long as he continues to talk with elegance and not just cursing everybody out and going on these epic rants and doing all this stuff, he can retain that audience and upgrade the conversation, make the conversation take it to a higher level. I think he's a really smart man. But we have to get to that point and not just stay on these rants and cursing people out and being a comedian, man. Because, I mean, yeah, you can be very, very successful, get a lot of money, and get a lot of people to pay attention to your stuff by being a funny guy. But at the end of the day, you will always just be considered Kwame Brown, the funny guy. And I think Kwame Brown has a better, bigger message than just being a comedian. So that's all I got to say. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr., the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at JLightsy7. I post content on there all the time. I'll see you guys next time.